Hi guys, I'm Randy with BRStv, and today we're looking at one of the highest quality, space-saving skimmer options out there in design, materials, and equipment with the Vertex Omega 180i and 200i. Today we'll talk about which one you'll need, show you how to set one up, and give you some recommendations for tuning, as well as go over some maintenance tips and accessories. Vertex has added two space-saving designs to their skimmer lineup, space-saving meaning that the pump is on the inside of the body, with the Omega 180i and 200i. These not only follow with their long history of superior reefing equipment that they've been known for, but does so in a form factor that is the perfect solution for those reefers with larger volume tanks who need to save as much space as possible in standard sump configurations. The Omega 180i and 200i provides a powerful and effective skim using Italian-made Sicce pumps and are one of the highest quality space-saving options available under a 12-inch footprint. With high-grade acrylic and PVC, you can tell that these skimmers were built to last when you hold them in your hands, and Vertex goes the extra mile with added features like foam inserts inside the air silencers to deaden as much noise as possible, as well as threaded collection cups which make removal much smoother, and included ozone injection ports on the volute for those reefers with more advanced goals for their tanks. As I mentioned, these two larger space-saving Omega skimmers are great solutions for those larger tanks who may be space limited in the sump, with the Omega 180i spanning tanks from 150 to 180 gallons and the Omega 200i being ideal for tanks from 180 to 210 gallons. Vertex has nearly all but made the Omega skimmers ready to go out of the box. However, here's what you'll get inside the box of the Omega 180i and 200i. Each one comes with a threaded collection cup with PVC lid and an angled drain port so you can drain the cup without removing it. You'll also see a wedge standpipe adjustment that has settings for 0, 50, and 100%. With the Omega 180i, you'll notice that Vertex reduced the output drain right at the body of the skimmer, which restricts the water in such a way that it allows for a larger diameter riser adjustment pipe, meaning you get more smooth, incremental control over fluctuations inside the skimmer body when fine-tuning its performance to match your tank. Lastly, the Omegas will come with an air silencer with foam inserts for a more quiet operation, and the Venturi with ports for silicone airline tubing and optional ozone. With the pumps pre-installed inside the skimmer body, assembly for the 180i and 200i takes less than 60 seconds, meaning all you have to do is thread on the Venturi, add the airline and connect it to the silencer, thread on the collection cup, and that's it. We're ready to get them in the sump and tune them. Installing the Omega 180i and 200i in your sump is as easy as verifying the footprint to fit your skimmer chamber and setting them to an operating depth that provides you with the best performance. With that in mind, the Omega 180 will need a skimmer chamber that's at least 10.5 inches by 11 inches, and at 23.25 inches tall will need enough clearance to remove the collection cup. The Omega 200i is just a bit larger, requiring a footprint of 11.5 by 11.5 inches and stands 25 inches tall. The skimmer operating depth is next, and for best results, Vertex recommends that the 180 and 200i be operated in a depth of 7 to 9 inches, so I'll choose a depth right in the middle for this Omega 180i at 8 inches. One of the most important aspects to keep in mind about skimmer operating depth is that stability is key for constant operation, so you'll want to ensure that the skimmer chamber has little to no fluctuations in water depth as possible. If you need to adjust the depth of water that your Omega skimmer sits in, here's some quick tips on ways to get it done. If you need to lower your water in your skimmer chamber, you can simply raise it out of the water with a skimmer stand or drain some water from the tank to lower the level in the sump. Conversely, if the water level is too low, you can just add more water to the entire system until it reaches your desired level, but just be sure that should the return pump shut off, any water draining back into the sump will fit without spilling over. Tuning the Vertex Omega skimmers typically only requires a couple of adjustments to either the skimmer operating depth, which we just completed, or to the wedge pipe adjustment. To make those adjustments, I like to start with the riser pipe set to 100%, which means most of the water will be allowed to exit the skimmer body and the air-water mixture inside the body will be at its lowest. From there, I can make small adjustments more towards the 0% setting until the foam starts to break just under the neck of the collection cup. With that done, I can come back and check the skimmer to see if it needs any further fine adjustments. And if you're using one of these space-saving skimmers on a lower nutrient tank or a tank that has less than optimal volume recommendation, some of you may also find value in using the threaded pump input on the volute to make minor adjustments to the air and water draw into the skimmer body. As you'll find with almost all skimmers, there's typically a break-in period where the skimmer may not seem like it's removing as much dissolved organics as it could, which is likely due to some manufacturing oils on the skimmer parts from the build process, but after a week or two it should start functioning normally. Vertex suggests using a clean cloth with some filtered or RODI water to wipe down the surfaces of the skimmer, which may help to reduce this break-in period. One other thing to keep in mind, not always will there be a max amount of dissolved organics in the water column at any given time, in which case it's not out of the norm for the skimmer to fluctuate in how much skimmate it's producing, which may be quite a bit when organics are more readily available or less when they're limited. Skimmer maintenance is usually one of the easier tasks to conduct on your tank, where you typically only need to remove the collection cup and dump the skimmate down the drain. The smooth threaded design of the skimmer cup makes this maintenance much easier to do, as it greatly reduces the chances that you'll spill the skimmate back into the tank. Outside of that, it's best practice to conduct a deeper cleaning a couple of times a year, in which case a quick bath in citric acid and water solution or vinegar and water will get the job done on that much tougher buildup within the body and the pump. You could also disassemble the skimmer, including removing the pump, volute, and impeller, and give them a good cleaning with a brush. There are a couple of accessories for your Omega 180i and 200i skimmer, including the Vertex Vectra neck cleaner, which can improve skimmate collection efficiency by cleaning the neck, leaving less resistance on the skimmate to bubble up into the cup. Finally, if you're like me and want some extra time between dumping your collection cup, these skimmate lockers from Avast Marine are great options for skimmate storage from nearly a full gallon all the way up to 1.5 gallons, and include space to store activated carbon to help reduce any odors. On top of that, they use a pressure sensor to shut down your Omega skimmer when the locker is full, which utilizes no moving parts like a float switch. Thanks for watching, and if you have any more questions that we didn't answer here, feel free to give us a call, send us an email, or hop on a chat. See you next time on BRS TV.